Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. And before we get to reading, I will tell you this. Subscribe, comment down below, and like for more Puppy Place books. And so guys, I got this new app yesterday. 2 days ago. It's called Duolingo. It's not okay. If you want to learn Spanish, any language that you want to learn, you can do it. You see now, I messed up 27 times, and I have 3 hearts left. And so guys, you get a refill every hour, every 4 hours. And so guys, I have 4 streaks, 3 crowns, and I'm learning Spanish. And my other language that I already know a lot, Vietnamese. Also, guys, I am learning that to get better at talking in Vietnamese. So, guys, let's just get started with Bear. Chapter 4. Lost? Oh no! What do you mean? Bear is lost. Lizzie didn't understand. I was welcoming some new guests, and Bear ran out of the house. Dorothy gasped, a little out of breath, just like he did yesterday. This time I had clipped on his little red leash, but he pulled it out of my hands. By the time I got the guests settled inside, he was nowhere to be found. I thought he might have followed you, but there was no sign of him along the trail. You'll find him, Dad said. Don't worry. How far could he have gone? He turned to Lizzie and Charles. What's up? He skied fast, disappearing into the flying snow. Lizzie didn't know how she'd managed, but she skied back to Harris' house without falling. Maybe she was getting the hang of it, or maybe she was just so worried about Bear that her fear kept her going. Could Bear have wandered into the road? She asked. I don't even want to think about that. Dorothy closed her eyes tightly. Maybe he'll be safe and sound inside when we get back. But he wasn't. Cordelia met them at the back door. Any sign of Bear? She rubbed her hands. Dorothy shook her head. It's snowing too hard. Any trail he would have left is already covered. She reached down to undo the ski bindings. Can you grab a few pairs of snowshoes? Cordelia disappeared inside. Dorothy helped Lizzie out of her skis. Snowshoes will be easier to get around. Cordelia repaired with an armful of big wooden snowshoes. I'll get the extras out here. She piled several pairs by the back door. I called Tim Carter. He's busy, but he'd said he'd send his daughter over to help. Neighbors Dorothy showed Lizzie how to strap on a pair of snowshoes. They live down the road, We all help one another out up here. By the time Lizzie and Cordelia had gotten their snowshoes on, Dad was back. Mom and Charles are on the way. He was panting a little. Where should I start looking? Maybe you should ski the other way, down the trail toward town. Cordelia pointed. The rest of us will search the woods around the house. Oh, good. Here's Fern. A teenage girl dashed around the corner of the farmhouse wearing snowshoes, sleek modern metal ones with red bindings and a bright red jacket. Dad said your dog is lost, not our dog. Dorothy began to explain that they were just taking care of Bear temporarily. But then she shook her head. Yes, a little husky pup named Bear. Lizzie, this is Fern Carter. Fern, Lizzie Peterson. Why don't you two search around the back of the barn and in the apple orchard? Lizzie was about to say she didn't know where the apple orchard was, but Fern was already on her way toward the big red barn. She knows her way around. Dorothy gave Lizzie a little push. Stick with Fern, and you won't get lost in the snow. Lizzie remembered a scene in the long winter of one of her favorite Lauren Ingalls Wilder books, where there was a big blizzard with snow so thick and heavy that Laura had to hang on to a rope to find her way between the house and the barn. Fern's red jacket had almost disappeared into the swirling flakes. Wait up! Lizzie yelled. She took 3 steps on her snowshoes and fell face first into the snow. Arrgh! Take it easy. At first, Dorothy helped Lizzie up. You'll get used to those snowshoes quickly, but it's a little different from walking normally. You have to walk kind of like a duck, with your feet apart. She demonstrated with a few waddling steps. Now let's find that pup. Bear! Lizzie waddled after Fern, trying to keep the red jacket in sight. Berry boy! Where are you? Where are you? Come, Bear! Lizzie caught up to Fern, and they snowshoed all the way around the barn. Then they went along on an old stone wall that ran by a group of small trees and twisty tangled branches, just like the scary apple trees that come to life in The Wizard of Oz. They yelled and yelled, calling Bear's name over and over. Lizzie had only fell once, but that was embarrassing enough graceful. Fern said it with a smile, but Lizzie felt like an idiot. Fern ran around on her snowshoes as she'd been doing it all her life, which she probably had. It wasn't very nice of her to make fun of people who were new at it, but there was no time to stew around about hurt feelings. They had to find Bear. Let's look inside the barn. Fern pushed the big door open. He might have wriggled inside somehow, looking for shelter. Lizzie peeked over Fern's shoulder. It was very dark and very quiet in there, and it smelled just like the horse Maria barn, where Lizzie sometimes rode with her friends. Maria liked old dusty hay and animals. The smell reminded Lizzie of Rascal, the wild little pup, who had found a wonderful home at the stable. She smiled for just a second. Then she remembered about Bear. I don't think he's in here. Lizzie shook her head. He'd come running if he heard us, or we'd hear him crying if he was stuck somewhere. Anyway, it's too dark to search without a flashlight. We can come back later if we need to, but let's go back to the house and see if there's any news yet, Fern suggested. They headed toward the parking area near the front door. looked at the house. She remembered how Bear had run out to greet them the day before. Where? Oh, where was that cute little puppy now? She felt her throat close up, and she blinked back some tears. Then she remembered something else. The house had looked different yesterday, or at least the roof had. Fern, she tugged on her sleeve of the older girl's jacket. Look! Lizzie pointed toward the green metal roof over the front door. What? Fern asked. Do you see Bear? Lizzie shook her head. No. But yesterday, when he got here, that green roof wasn't showing. It was covered with snow. And now look, she was pointing to a huge mountain of snow that must have just slid off the roof. It came all the way up to the parlor windows. What if Bear right by the door but Fern wasn't even listening anymore. She charged toward the house. Chapter 5. Lizzie ran after Fern, stumbling on her snowshoes. When they got to the house, each girl grabbed one of the metal snow shovels propped by the door, then began to flail away, trying to chop through the towering piles of snow that had slid off the roof. Lizzie was surprised by how dense, icy, and heavy the old snow was. It wasn't at all like the fluffy, fresh snow that fell all around them. The door flew open. What's going on? Cordelia stared at the girl. Bear might be under here. Lizzie didn't even stop digging. The snow just slid off the roof today. Cordelia's hand flew to her mouth. Oh my! She closed the door for a moment, then reappeared wearing a jacket. She pulled on a pair of leather work gloves. I'll take a turn with one of those shovels. She held out her hand. Lizzie handed over to her shovel. Her arms were already sore. She walked away from the spot where they've been digging and tilted her head toward the pile of snow. Bear, she tried to listen. Are you in there? Lizzie's heart thumped. How could such a little puppy survive if all that heavy snow fell on him? When she thought she heard something, a whimper. Could it be? She held up her hand. Stop for a sec. When the shoveling noises stopped, the other noise became clearer. Bear, Lizzie could hardly speak. Is that you? She heard another louder whimper. Lizzie bent to look beneath a huge slab of hardened snow. She saw one blue eye peering back at her. Could it be? Yes, it was him. The puppy was trapped in a little cave that must have been created by the snow, slid off the roof. Bear! Lizzie threw herself down and peered at the others. Lizzie turned to face the others. Bear, over here! I can see him. He's under the slab. Cordelia and Fern ran over with their shovels and began to chip away at the chunks of snow. Faster, Lizzie urged. He might be hurt. She bent closer to whisper to Bear. We'll save you. Don't worry. Dad skied into the yard. He undid his bindings and ran over. Bear's under there. Cordelia nodded. Lizzie can see him, but the snow is so hard right here. If we could only move this whole big slab. Dad grabbed the two snow shovels and shoved the end of each one under the slab. Lizzie, get ready to push through that one. He bent all his weight over his shovel's handle, and Lizzie hunched over hers. 1, 2, 3, push! The slab didn't budge at first. Then it seemed to unlock from its frozen position as it rocked up at the angle. Lizzie caught a glimpse of something black and gray and white and fluffy. Bear! She felt tears spring to her eyes. Oh, Bear! Felt Cordelia. Leah reached in and snatched Bear out of his safe little cave. Lizzie and Dad let the slab fall back into its place. Is he okay? Lizzie reached out to him gently. Is he hurt? Cordelia ran her hands all over Bear's fluffy body. I don't think so. She looked up at Lizzie. Can you believe it? I think he's totally fine. He doesn't even look very scared. Fern patted him too. Look, he's yawning. What an adorable puppy. Dorothy brought out a blanket and wrapped Bear up tight. Sure enough, his pink tongue lolled out as he laid back in Cordelia's arms, looking completely relaxed and happy. Her puppy terribly, that's why she had turned to ask Dad to call Aunt Amanda. Dad gestured to Lizzie. He's waiting to hear your voice. He brought her phone. Buddy, is that you? Who's a good little boy? Lizzie heard a little snuffling sound on the other end. Buddy! Buddy? Aunt Amanda spoke up. You should see him. His head is tilted in that really cute way. He definitely recognized your voice. She laughed. So how's the skiing? Lizzie groaned. I'm terrible at it, she said. All I do is fall down, but Charles is really good. Already? Already. Oh, well, everybody got something they're good at. It's just a matter of finding the best fit for you. Then Aunt Amanda giggled. Buddy's licking my chin. Lizzie laughed. Give him a kiss for me, okay? I will, Aunt Amanda promised. And you tell that cute little bear to stay out of trouble. Chapter 6. Lizzie gasped when she looked out her window. The next morning snow covered everything in sight. The barn roof, the fences, the cars, the driveway, the mailbox, the snow, and the snow was like a thick, fluffy quilt outlining every tiny twig of every branch of every tree. Not only that, the sky was blue, and the sun was shining, making the snow glitter like diamonds. It was like a fairyland. Downstairs, Dad raced through his breakfast. I can't wait to get out there. The skiing should be fantastic today. Yeah, skiing, the bean waved a half-eaten pancake in the air. You want to ride in your sled again? Don't you? Mom wiped syrup off his fingers. The bean nodded and smiled. Yep, skiing. I'll go, Charles said. I want to ski all the way around that long trail today. Lizzie looked down at her plate and drew her fork through a puddle of leftover syrup. Cordelia passed her a platter full of pancakes, offering seconds. But Lizzie had lost her appetite. No, her family was good at skiing except her. Lizzie felt out. You know, Dorothy leaned toward Lizzie. I'd like to take Bear out for a walk, really. You'd be doing us a favor, Cordelia agreed with her sister. You've got a lot of cooking and cleaning to do today, and he's just going to be underfoot. Lizzie beamed. I'd be happy to. Just make sure you hold on his leash. Dorothy smiled at Lizzie. We don't want to repeat of yesterday. I promise. Lizzie crossed her heart. As soon as she finished breakfast, Lizzie went to find Bear. He was snoozing by the fireplace again, but when she asked if he wanted to go for a walk, he had got to his feet and stretched, yawned a big pink yawn, and waved his fluffy tail in the air. I'll go anywhere with you. Lizzie pulled on her snow pants, jacket, and boots. She clipped on Bear's red leash, then picked him up and tucked him inside her jacket with his head poking out. I'll carry you for a little while. Bear snuggled down cozily. This is nice. More nap time for me. By the time Lizzie got her snowshoes fastened, the rest of the family had taken off down the trail on their skis. Be careful, Mom called as she kicked out of view. Be careful, Mom called as she skied out of view toward the bean behind her. Careful of what? Lizzie thought the storm was over. The sun was bright, and the only sound was the cheeping of the adorable little chickadees that flittered around the Harris sisters' bird feeder. Lizzie tromped across the yard on her snowshoes, feeling the warm weight of Bear nestled inside her jacket. It was fun to be off on an adventure trail from the day before just to see where it led. Cordelia had promised that she couldn't get lost since all the trails eventually circled back to the house. The snow was light and fluffy, and when a little breeze shook it off the trees, it looked like diamond dust sparkling all around. Lizzie took a deep breath of the fresh, cold air. She liked it up. She liked it up her here in Vermont. When she got to the main trail, Lizzie turned right instead of that had gone the way instead of following her family's ski tracks to the left, the way she and Dad had gone the day before. Let's explore, Bear. She unzipped her jacket and carefully lowered Bear to the snow. She held tightly on to his leash. Lizzie trudged along quietly for a while, and Bear romped beside her. He seemed totally at home in the snow. Once in a while, he would duck his head and lick up a few flakes, or stick his nose onto a soft snowbank and sniff hard, then jump back with a big sneeze, or fall onto his back and roll around happily, his pink tongue lolling out as he grinned up at Lizzie. Welcome to my winter world. Bear seemed to come to life, and then he was outside. No more yawning and napping. Now he zigged and zagged across the trail in front of Lizzie, pulling her along as he sniffed at this and that. Then he began to pull harder, his nose to the ground, and this tail held high. He sniffed harder than ever. What are you smelling? Hadn't Camilla mentioned something about a moose that hung around somewhere sometimes? Lizzie wasn't sure exactly what a moose looked like, but she knew they were huge, bigger than horses. What if she ran into one out here all alone? She remembered reading about the sled dog racers in the Ida Iditarod, where Iditarod, where always were always worried about meeting a moose on the trail. Bear stood still for a moment and sniffed the air. His ears were all full alert. Lizzie could tell that he was using his super doggy senses to hear something that she could not hear, and Bear smelled something she could not smell. Then Bear pulled so hard that he pulled Lizzie right off balance. She plopped down into the deep, unpacked snow on the side of the trail, still gripping the leash. Lizzie struggled to get her snowshoes underneath her so she could stand up again. Bear pulled on the leash some more. His ears twitched madly, as if he sniffed and snuffled. Finally, Lizzie got to her feet. She could hear something too. What was it? That? It sounded like a huge animal running down the trail toward her, and Bear breathing hard but suddenly moving silent. Was it a moose? Lizzie almost didn't want to look up as the breathing came closer. Chapter 7, guys. So we are going to end this video right here. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment down below. Bye! And bye!